Have you ever stood at the edge of a cold swimming pool, knowing you were going to jump, and yet found yourself unable to actually do it? You made the decision. You announced it to yourself. And still, your body refused. William James used exactly this example to illuminate one of the deepest puzzles in psychology, the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. What fills that gap, or fails to fill it, is what he called the will. James came to this question through personal crisis. Through his 20s, he was consumed by what he described as a morbid fear, an inability to act, a paralysis of the will so severe that he wondered whether he had any freedom at all. His eventual recovery, philosophical as much as psychological, depended on understanding exactly how voluntary action worked. The theory he developed remains one of the most incisive accounts of human motivation ever written. In the Principles of Psychology, published in 1890, James introduced what he called the ideo-motor theory of action. The basic claim was radical in its simplicity. Every idea of a movement tends to produce that movement, unless another idea intervenes to inhibit it. When you think of raising your arm, a faint impulse toward raising it is already present in your nervous system. Normally, competing ideas, social propriety, other intentions, doubts, suppress this impulse before it becomes action. The act of willing something, James argued, is not adding some mysterious force to an idea. It is the act of keeping that idea before the mind, allowing it to hold the field against rivals. This reframing had enormous consequences. It meant that willpower is fundamentally about attention. The person who acts decisively is not someone with an extra reservoir of force. They are someone who can sustain a clear mental image of an action without immediately flooding it with counter-arguments and hesitations. The swimmer who actually jumps is the one who keeps the idea of jumping vivid and present, rather than entertaining ever more elaborate reasons for delay. James identified two great pathologies of the will in the Principles of Psychology. The first was explosive will, action triggered too easily, without adequate deliberation, driven by impulse or emotion before reason has a chance to intervene. The second, and the one he found most personally familiar, was the obstructed will, where ideas of action are perpetually neutralized by rival ideas, where every impulse toward movement is immediately met with a counter-impulse, and where the person lives in a state of chronic paralysis. Both extremes represent failures of the same underlying mechanism, the inability to regulate which idea holds the floor. The practical remedy James proposed in Talks to Teachers, published in 1899, was deceptively simple. He advised cultivating the habit of acting on decisions immediately, without waiting for the feeling of readiness. The feeling of readiness, he observed, rarely precedes action, it follows it. We do not feel confident and then act. We act and then, in retrospect, the feeling of confidence arises. Waiting for the right mood, the right energy, the right level of motivation is a strategy for permanent postponement. This connects to James's famous doctrine on habit, which he articulated in the same work. Every time we act in accordance with a decision, we strengthen the neural pathways that make that kind of action easier in the future. Every time we yield to hesitation, we strengthen the pathways of hesitation. The will is not a fixed capacity we are born with. It is something we sculpt through repeated practice. Character, James believed, is essentially the accumulated history of our choices about what to attend to and what to act on. James also recognized that willpower is not unlimited or context-free. He observed that strong emotion, physical exhaustion, and chronic stress all degrade the capacity for voluntary effort, not because the will is weak, but because the attentional resources that the will depends on are depleted. This anticipates decades of later research on ego depletion, decision fatigue, and the metabolic costs of sustained self-regulation. James did not have the neuroscience, but he had the phenomenology exactly right. What modern psychology adds to James's picture is the importance of implementation intentions, the specific plans that link a situation to an action. Research by Peter Gollwitzer and others shows that deciding in advance exactly when, where, and how you will act dramatically increases follow-through, precisely because it reduces the moment-to-moment attentional burden of decision-making. The idea is already doing its work before the moment of action arrives. James would have recognized this immediately as an application of ideo-motor theory. But perhaps the most important thing James said about willpower was also the most quietly radical. In a passage from the Principles of Psychology that deserves far more attention than it receives, he wrote that each act of voluntary effort, however small, however private, is not wasted, even if it seems to leave no visible trace. It registers in the nervous system. It changes who we are. The person who makes the effort, even unsuccessfully, is building something that will matter later. This is not consolation. It is a precise empirical claim about how character is formed. We are not born with the capacity for decisive action. We develop it, slowly, through exactly the kind of small voluntary efforts that feel, in the moment, like they are going nowhere. The will strengthens by being used, and it is weakened, just as surely, by habitual avoidance. Subscribe to the Psychology of William James to explore more of his timeless ideas.